Today I'm going to talk a little bit about my work with autistic kids. For those who don't know, I'm finishing my master's degree in psychology, and because it's already February, I've already had to deliver my half of my thesis 2 weeks ago. And it's a lot of fun. Working with autistic kids, it's a lot of fun. Um, I'm in a classroom with about 8 autistic kids, ages 6 to 12, approximately. And I'm working at a school, so it's a school in my city. And I go there almost every day, and it's really fun. I'm also integrated in another classroom at the same school with kids that have, in Portuguese, the translation would be multi-deficiency. Um, and it's really interesting. And this video is supposed to be a small list of pros and cons that I have encountered over almost 4 months of working there. So let's start. Let's start with the pros because there are plenty. So the kids are really fun. The kids are a lot of fun because the moment you appear in the classroom, um, usually one of them comes to you and they hug you and they want to hold your hand and take you somewhere where they are working or painting or something or drawing. Um, and they want you to see their work. They want you to be a part of what they're doing. One of the very interesting things that is common with people on the spectrum um, is that these kids play alone. They don't interact almost at all with each other. They are very lucky because the classroom is very big, so there's plenty of room for everyone to just do whatever they want. But they don't play with one another. That's something interesting, and that it's very common with children on the autism spectrum. Um, they play with their toys, they paint, they do puzzles. They do puzzles extremely fast, which is something interesting. It's almost like that stereotype that autistic people are very good with recognition, and these kids apparently so. I'm not entirely sure if it's because they've already completed those puzzles like 100 times already, or it's because they're just that good at pattern recognition. Um, but anyway, it's very interesting to see them just assemble a puzzle in like 2 minutes. And some of them are fairly complex puzzles. I would take a lot longer actually to put puzzles in place. I don't have experience with puzzles. Actually, when I was a kid, it wasn't one of my favorite activities. Um, but these kids are really good, really good with puzzle solving problem skills. It's really interesting. So that's one of them. The other one is that they're extremely intelligent. Really, these kids aren't supposed to be. These are supposed to be kids with level 2 to 3 autism. So kids who need constant support. My autism is level 1, so I need what's called moderate support. So I see a psychologist and once a month or something like that. So my level of autism isn't. It's nothing, really. It's nothing to worry about. But these kids are. Some of them are really problematic in some ways because although almost all of them behave very well and they're not violent at all. I think there's this misconception that autistic kids sometimes can be really violent. Sure, sometimes they can be, but I attribute it more to the parents' fault than the kids' fault, because that's something that is kind of notorious there, is that there's one particular girl that is used to pretty much at home. We believe that the parents just allow her to just do whatever she wants, pretty much. So she comes to class and she cries and she yells and she's not content with anything. It's very difficult to find anything that she would like to do because the only thing she wants to do is to be in front of a computer all day. Um, and even then, sometimes people just say, "Okay, just do what you want," because she's really like ungovernable. That's the only kid in my class that is very problematic, and she's kind of known for that. All the others are really, really fantastic, like simple, easy to take care of. But this particular kid is not, and we believe it's because of the parents. So um, oftentimes we believe that it's more the parents' way of parenting that causes many of the issues that the autistic people have, the kids have. The way that they are treated at home, if they are allowed to do everything they want at home, if they have rules, if they have specific timetables and things that they have to do and chores. Because if they don't have any of that and they're just like left alone to their own devices, they're going to stagnate on repeated tasks. Anyone would. Um, so they become a lot more difficult to interact with. But all of them, with this girl in particular, not being the case, they're all very, very easy to take care of and to watch out for over. Um, so that's one thing. They're extremely cute. They're very cute. they, I am not usually. This is something interesting. Autistic people have the stigma, let's say, of not liking physical contact, personal physical contact. I am one of those cases. I don't like being touched, like holding hands, hugged, being hugged, kissed. I don't like that, and it kind of makes me very uncomfortable actually. Um, these kids, I don't know if it's because they're smaller or maybe it has to do with their personalities or maybe they are used to this school environment where everyone kind of touches each other because it's a school and they're kids, so they're used to playing with other kids or seeing other kids playing, kids going against them in the hallways because they're running or something. Kids are very, you know, agitated. But these kids are really interesting because, for example, they hold your hands. For example, this particular kid that I was referring to, that was problematic. When she wants to do something that she knows that she can't do, she comes to you and she holds your hand and takes you to the place where she wants to do the activity that she knows that she can't. If she wants a scissors to cut something, she will hold your hand and take you like to the scissor where the scissors is, and then like put your hand close to the scissors, touching the scissors, so showing you what she wants. Or if she wants to go outside, she will take you to the door and yeah. Uh, and then like she will throw a fit because you can't go outside, it's not time yet, you can't have the scissors because you can't cut that. Then she will start crying. But you understand, this is a very interesting way to communicate. And sometimes another thing is that they surprise you. These kids really, really, really surprise you in the most positive way possible. There's this little girl in the class, another, not the one that I was just mentioning, another one of the smaller ones. Um, she's super intelligent. All of the kids in the class are very, very smart, but there are two particular ones. This one that I said that is very difficult to work with. The last one that I was talking about. She's extremely intelligent. Um, she's not very verbal. Um, although she can repeat a few words and she can, if she wanted to, she could communicate better. But this is one of the things that is interesting with autistic kids is that they don't really show you their abilities um, directly. Like if you just ask them to do something, often they just don't do it, or they'll do whatever they want. But from time to time, they will communicate something with you or say something, a word or a phrase, that really shows you just how smart these kids are. For example, I was playing with this kid, with this other girl, and she's very small, and it was already late. It was almost like 5 p.m., which is usually the time that these kids' parents come to pick them up out at school. And I was kind of entertaining this kid, this little girl, because she was bored. She wanted to go home, and she's very funny because she's very small. She's like 7 or 6 or 7, so she's really small, really thin, and with glasses and the cute. And everyone in the school, the women who work in the school, know this girl because she's very funny. She's very petite, very cute, and everyone knows her. And I was kind of trying to entertain this girl until her parents come pick her up at school, and she turns upside down. She was laying on the floor, and she turns upside down and says "upside down" in English. She's Portuguese, but she says upside down. So she learned the word upside down in English from somewhere, maybe a song or a movie or a series. And she's talking to me in Portuguese, or she's just playing, and out of nowhere, she just says upside down the word. And it's very funny because she's Portuguese. Why is she speaking English? Why? How does she know the word upside down, which is a very concrete, specific word that indicates exactly what she was doing at the moment? I was playing like with her head upside down. It's very interesting. You see, it's like from time to time, these kids really like impress you with the some random knowledge that they have that you have no idea. Like, oh wow, this kid just said something interesting. Like, wow, upside down. And then I'm and then I started trying to talk to her in English to try to see the level that she could understand. And I was like, oh, come here. Do you want to go home? You want to play? Trying to make her to understand how much she understood of English. Um, but she's very interesting because she talks to you in English sometimes. So if you say adeus, which is Portuguese for goodbye, she will reply to you as with bye bye. So she won't say adeus in Portuguese, she will say bye bye in English. So these kids are very, very interesting. Like sometimes they just share with you knowledge that you didn't even know that they had, just out of nowhere, like a phrase or a sentence or just a word. It's really, really interesting. Which goes to the next topic, that was they're very funny. They're really funny because out of nowhere they just say random words, and they're always like on their own little world. And this little girl in specific, she likes to like do circles around the room sometimes when she's bored, tiptoe walking, um, like talking to herself, looking like up to the ceiling, like looking up to tiptoe walking, talking to herself. And she's very small, so it's very funny to just see a kid like walking, talking to themselves. It's all of them kind of do this thing of tiptoe walking, and I tiptoe walk too. I used to when I was smaller. My dad has a round table in the living room, and when I was smaller in the summer holidays, um, when I stayed late at night, like studying my stuff or visiting the deep web or whatever my interest was at that time, um, I used to like go around this table when I was thinking about something like profound. When I was in my physics phase, I used to like walk around this table thinking about my stuff, about my theories and my ideas for like 30 minutes or more, just because it helped me concentrate to go around this table. And these kids really remind me a lot of about myself at a younger age. Some of the tics that they have, some of the things that they do and say, remind me a lot of myself. Um, Not looking you in the eye most of them don't do that. They do that from time to time, but rarely not, unless you really want their attention or something like that. Will they do that? Tiptoe walking, almost all of them do. Having some issues with physical contact, sure. Being in their own little worlds like talking to themselves and having their own ideas and thoughts, and while tiptoe walking and looking up, it's something that I used to do and still do a lot sometimes. Um, so yeah, it's really really funny to be with them. And I really think that for some, if anyone listening is interested, or has the chance or the opportunity to do an internship, um, in an institution with autistic kids, I think it's worth it because they're very funny. They're very interesting. Um, and soon I will be doing some a part not a part-time job. I will continue doing my work in this school, but I will be dividing my time with a secondary, another school, a high school now. So grown-ups, more grown-ups until 18. The school I am is from 6 to 12, and I will be going to a school that is from 12 to 18. Um, so yeah, it's very, very interesting. And the last 2 points, one would be working with autistic kids opens your horizons because it shows you that autism is so much more diverse than what most people think it is, or most caricatures of autism depict. Um, Often autism is depicted like a very bad um, syndrome, a very bad set of characteristics that are very impairing. And sure, if it's like severe autism, severe forms of autism, like autism of level 3, level 2, sure, yeah, there are things that are really complicated for sure. But there are other things that are really fun. There are a lot of fun. uh, so it opens your horizons. It shows you in a classroom with 8 kids, all of them are different. All of them are autistic, and all of them are very different from each other. They have many things in common, but they are very different in personalities and the way they interact, and the way they play, the way they do things, and so on. Um, some kids, for example, don't mind having a lot of things, a lot of parts that are not part of a single game combined. And this little girl, for example, I was talking about earlier, that said upside down, really bothers her if you put like if you have like 10 red things in one side and you put one yellow thing next to the red things in the same set of the reds, she will freak out and she will say no. She will start doing like start with little noises that tell you that she doesn't like, and she takes the yellow thing and puts in the yellow thing with the yellow parts and the red thing with the red parts. So she's very particular, very meticulous. But other kids don't have this at all. So they're all autistic, but they're very different from each other. It's very interesting. Um, and the last thing I wanted to talk about is that it's good for emotional growth, which is absolutely true. Um, for a very long time, I have, I still have problems with opening up to people, and this probably has to do with the things that I talked about in the last video about my personality type, my way of attaching to people, my attachment style. Um, so yeah, being with kids that need your help and that need your support and that touch you, even if you don't like being touched, like hold your hand and hug you, you're not going to just like pull them away. That would be nonsense. But it's good to have to be exposed to an environment with loud noises and sounds, which is one of the cons. It's that, yeah, sometimes they scream, sometimes they make a mess and you have to clean. Sometimes you want to work with them and they don't want to work at all, so you are very like restricted to what they want to do. You're always restricted to kids, to what they want to do. But with autistic kids more specifically, because it's very difficult to like reason with them, like I really need you to work with this, or I really need you to not do that. And if they are very rigid, which many of them are, they're not going to listen to you and they start crying or throwing a tantrum. So it's kind of difficult sometimes to tell them exactly what needs to be done and showing them, guiding them towards what you want to do, because you're always conditioned to what they want to do. So one last thing is rigid thinking and risk of injury. So a few weeks ago, the other girl that I said that was difficult to deal with. For example, she had the scissors and she did this with the scissors, and it passed like this, like almost near my eye. And I've heard stories of professors and people being injured by these kids, especially the grown-ups, because they're a lot stronger. Where they can beat you or punch you. I was punched in the forehead like 2 weeks ago. This problematic kid wanted to use the scissors to cut a drawing, but it was the original drawing, so I couldn't let her, because if she cut the original, then we wouldn't have anything more to photocopy with. And I was trying to explain to her, no, look, you can't use that because it's the original, and you can't do that with the original, otherwise we won't be able to replicate it anymore. And after like 10 times she did this, like I see, to my forehead, like top. It didn't hurt at all, but it was funny, just to get my attention, like, come on, let me do what I want. So this kind of rigidity can be a little problematic. But it's something that you grow on it. Like you start to understand the kids, you start to understand their weaknesses and what you can do and what you can't do, and what they want to do, and it gets easier with time. That's what I'm saying, and it's very interesting. So yeah, the only two things that are kind of annoy me, because I'm also on the spectrum, is the loud screaming, which only happens because of this one girl. All the other kids behave very well. None of them screams. None of them throws tantrums at all. But this one girl that should probably be medicated, because some kids just have to be medicated. There's one kid in my class that used to be as bad as this girl was. And the moment he started to be medicated, he became a saint. Now it's okay. Now he's one of the easier kids to deal with. And I'm not saying zombify your kids. I'm saying that they are suffering. When this kid like spends 4 or 5 hours a day like throwing tantrums and stressing the other kids, it's better, if you are a parent, to help your kid and medicate them lightly. Try doing it, see if it works, because it's better for them, because they're not going to be screaming 4 or 5 hours a day and stressing the other kids and stressing the teacher and stressing the kids in the other classrooms that can hear her. And it's going to be better for her, because she's going to be able to enjoy the day better, and not be stressed so often. So it's going to be better for everyone. So this is the only thing. I think it's the loud noises that scream, especially because she has a very high pitched. She really screams very high pitched, and the risk of injury, that you really have to be careful with them when they use scissors or a pencil or something that can like stab you, or because sometimes they're inconsequential. They're kids. Any kid is kind of dangerous with a pencil or with a ruler or with anything like sharp, or that can hurt. So yeah, that's the only thing really. So the pros are just outnumber the cons greatly. And anyone who's interested or has the opportunity to work with kids, with autistic kids or adults or any kind of particular population, I think it's really good. It opens your horizons. It makes you understand these difficulties. And it tells you that, yeah, autism isn't all the same. In the same way that schizophrenia isn't all the same. Epilepsy, it's not all the same, and many others. So, yeah, that's it.